Hello, and thank you for checking out this video. Today, I want to tell you the story about this Warmoth build. So the year is about 2016, and a friend of mine approached me with the mission of recreating a Sadowsky type vibe in a J-bass style body with a quilted top and maple neck. He was really enamored with just how Sadowskys looked, and of course how they sounded. Now, he already had the Sadowsky outboard preamp, the one with the two-band EQ, and he was running some of his other basses through it already. So what he wanted was a passive jazz bass that he could then run through that outboard preamp. Now, the other parts of the build he was really particular with is he wanted it to be super light. He was gigging this bass, and he didn't want it to be a boat anchor on his back, so he wanted a super light bass, but he also wanted to be sonically versatile. So he came to me and said, let's build a Warmoth together. Shelling out the several $1,000s for a USA-made Sadowsky was just too far out of reach at that time. So that's why we decided to kind of build a parts caster bass with Warmoth parts. And we looked around, and here are the parts we found. We found this Dinky J body. So the model is called Dinky J. It's a shrunken down J-bass style body with a beautiful quilt maple top. It has a flame maple layer underneath the quilt top that gives the appearance of a binding, but it's actually a layer of wood underneath. And you can't see it because it is a opaque finish in the back, but it is a swamp ash body. Now, for weight reduction, this bass is also chambered. So it's a chambered swamp ash body with a maple layer and then a quilt maple top, which is just a gorgeous looking piece of wood. So we mated that with a maple neck with a maple board. It's a completely passive bass, so it's just volume tone with just run-of-the-mill 250K pots. We put a Fender bridge on it, and these are also Fender lightweight tuners as well. Here's where the story gets interesting. Because we knew Sadowsky had a working relationship with DiMarzio, we ended up speccing this bass out with DiMarzio Model J pickups. So we set it all up, we put on his favorite brand of strings, and we tuned it up and plugged it in, and I gotta say, the initial impression was very underwhelming. The bass at the time really lacked in the low mid section, and the highs were very harsh. Now, we didn't know why, because we tapped the body before we built it, and it was very resonant, very lively sounding bass. It was the right weight. We had, from previous experience, already known that the DiMarzio Model J was a fabulous sounding pickup. But then why did it not sound fabulous in this bass build? We weren't sure, but the tone was so underwhelming that both of us were like, what did we do wrong here? So we scoured around, the workshop area that I had, and we found a set of Seymour Duncan quarter pounders. Now, the quarter pounders have their own sound to them, but we threw it in this bass just for as an experiment, and those were not at all the tone we were looking for. So those came out. Then we scoured the used market locally here, and we found a local gentleman who was selling a set of single coil Nordstrand pickups. Now, we had no Nordstrand made great sounding pickups, so we paid the gentleman and we put those single coils in this bass, and we got the same result as we did with the DiMarzios. The bass lacked in the low mids, and the high end was really harsh. Now, at this point, we're going, well, is it the fretboard? Is it the neck? Is it the body? Like, what about this wood recipe and this combination of woods is resulting in that tone? So we were really perplexed, and we had already shut out the money for all the parts, and now we had a bass that looked great but didn't sound very good, which is not really useful. So we looked a little deeper around in my workshop, and we found the set of Select by EMG passive J pickups. Now these came out of an old court bass of mine from a long time ago, and they were just hanging around. These are not active EMGs, they are passive, but they are in the standard J pickup shell sizing. So with low expectations, we put those in there, soldered them in, and it sounded amazing. And in this particular bass, it was like very clearly ahead of the Nordstrands and the DiMarzios, much to our surprise. So here we are, 7 years later, and this bass is still sporting those EMGs in it. So let's hear them. I think for this particular bass, there are three kind of sweet spot sounds that you can get from it. Of course, you can get in between tones as well, but I think these are the three that are most useful with this bass. And the first one is with the controls wide open. So that's with both pickups and the tone knob wide open. The other sound you can get is a P bass or precision bass type sound. So we're going to roll the bridge pickup off, and I'm going to roll the tone knob down to about 50%. And this is the sound. The other cool sound you can get out of this bass is the back by the bridge Jacko type sound. So for that, we're going to roll the bridge pickup all the way up, and we're just going to nudge the front pickup back a tiny little bit, and we're going to leave the tone knob at around 50%. So that's the story about this custom Warmoth build. I hope you enjoyed the story. I guess the take-home message is don't always rely on what other people tell you is a good sounding pickup or a good sounding other piece of gear. Use your own ears. All the different parts work together to create a sound. And sometimes a great piece of gear sometimes just doesn't work. And when mated to an organic material such as wood, sometimes the tonal outcome is just not what you expect. And that's part of the fun of experimentation. Could also definitely be a source of frustration, but always use your ears. Let's hear this bass in the context of a track. I'm going to run the first part with all the pickups wide open and the tone knob wide open. For the middle section, I'm going to do the bridge Jacko thing with the front pickup dialed back just a tiny little bit. And the tone knob at 50. And then for the third part, we'll do the P bass thing with just the front pickup and the tone knob back around 40 to 50%. All right. Hope you enjoy the track.